Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, global neighborhood. This is Micheal Pope, and I am your host of Life is a Sacred Journey. It is my honor to have you with us here. It is morning in California, and it looks like it's going to be an incredibly beautiful day. But, 30 minutes goes by so fast. I am going to make sure that we get everything in this day. So if you are watching on Facebook Live, please share and let somebody know that Life is a Sacred Journey has gone live. If you are listening on our podcast, Blog Talk Radio, pass it on, pass the link on. If you are looking at us on YouTube, please follow us and subscribe. Let people know about Life is a Sacred Journey. We come to you every Friday at 8 a.m. during COVID-19 so that we can discuss many of the issues that are going on in our lives as we are sheltering in place worldwide. I want to send a shout out to all my friends out there that are listening, that are engaged and involved. I want to say hello to G and his family in India. Thank you so much for joining us. And good morning, Stuart Furman, my friend, our dear friend, Stuart Furman, who also is an advocate for caregivers. He is watching and he just waved at me. So good morning, Stuart, to you and your lovely wife as you shelter in place. So I want to get started. You know, we begin our podcast every single week looking for acts of kindness. And the acts of kindness that I have been bringing up have been around things like landlords who have said, you know what, you don't have to pay the rent until we're out of this. And so I just, I could go through hundreds of these people throughout the world, but I just want to lift them all up because they are sacrificing income, understanding that the people that rent from them may also be having financial difficulties, and they're meeting them before they even have to ask. So because people like me, we don't like to ask for help. So these people are going to their tenants and saying, before they ask for help, we're here for you. But I also want to lift up those stores that have designated certain hours for at-risk shoppers. I'm an at-risk shopper, and so I want to thank all of those stores that are open special times for folks like myself. I also want to lift up everybody who are making masks. Oh my gosh, everybody's making masks. Let me show you. This was a mask that was made for me. It is incredible. It's gorgeous. It's fashionista like Micheal Pope. But what I like about it is the inside has an area where you can put a paper towel, a gauze, or even another mask that you fold and put in so that the moisture is collected, because we don't want the outside of our mask to become wet. That is what attracts the molecules or the virus, the molecules in the virus. And so this is a really phenomenal mask. So I want to thank Karen, Auntie KK, for getting this for me, making it for me, or having her friend make it for me. And so this is an act of kindness that we can all participate in. I don't have time to sew anymore, but those of you that are sewing, keep making those masks, because I think we're going to need them for some time. The last act of kindness I want to bring up for today is people who have gone out onto the streets and applauded those people that are doing good work, those people that have gone to assisted livings and serenaded seniors and sang to them and waved to them from the street. Thank you. Everybody can, even during shelter in place, perform an act of kindness. So thank you for your act of kindness, and thank you for thinking of a place where you can take your kindness. I also want to raise up this morning, I want to move from that wonderfulness to something that is heavy on my heart, and I debated driving in here this morning on whether or not I would say anything, but I have to. So on February 23rd in Georgia, the state of Georgia, Ahmaud Arbery was jogging, And as he was jogging, we all there's a video out. There's a whole lot of bad press around. He must have been doing something. He looked like a criminal. All of these kinds of things, and he was killed. Today is his 26th birthday. And there's a campaign, hashtag I run with Maud. I actually ran for about 5 minutes this morning and walked the rest of the way because I have back injuries now that I can't run like I used to. But I just want to say, and I have to say this, so forgive me if I offend you. That's not my goal. But Ahmaud Arbery was an innocent black man that was running down the street jogging. And the stereotypes of our racism, our hatred, and the things that fester in our hearts as human beings on the face of this planet bubbled up and made it possible for two people to accost this man and then murder him. And then we had to wait until May 7th or whatever for these people to be brought to justice, a justice system that we say that is equal to all. I'm sorry, but I have to tell you, as a black woman and as a mother of a son, as a sister of a brother, as a lover of a black man, that they are not safe. They are not safe when they're doing the things that everybody else in the world is doing because somebody is afraid of their height or their stature or the color of their skin. Black and brown men are under attack, and the new mode of lynching is a gun. I'm reaching out to you because you wouldn't be listening to this broadcast if you were not a person that lived on a different plane of understanding what it means to be a human being. You have to speak up. You can't be silent anymore. You got to speak up and say when somebody has that off joke that, offends you, or they say something about black and brown people and it's wrong because that has not been your experience. Speak up. Racism and all the isms that we live in are killing us as a humanity. COVID-19 is killing us, but all of our isms that we carry in our soul, spirit, and heart is killing us way more. So let's try to be a humanity together and stop the violence against people of color. Let's come together as a network for good and change this world now. My grandbabies have not been born yet, but I want a better world for them. I don't want my grandson or my granddaughter to have to experience the form of racism that I have had to experience in my 62 years of life. Let's do this together because it's only together. We keep saying we'll get through this together. Well, let's get through the gobbledygook that has mucked up our spirits and made us hate each other for things that have nothing to do with a thriving world and a thriving America, a thriving humanity. Say you're with me, and I hope we'll see a change in my lifetime. I also want to say happy birthday to Carla McManus's grandmother. And I have to look it up, Carla. I'm going to bring Carla on so she can also, Micheal McManus. Micheal McManus is now, how old are you, Micheal? Let me see. You're 91 years old, Micheal. Happy birthday. I hope I make it to 91. You're an example of pride and love in your family. I really appreciate everything that you did to make Carla the young woman that she is today. She works here at Alzheimer's Services of the East Bay, and I can tell that you were in her life because she has a love for seniors. Carla, are you on the line? Do you want to say happy birthday to your grandmom?
I would love to. My grandmother has been probably one of the most influential people in my life. She's given to the community And in a time like this, even before this, she has taught us to love our family and to be a family unit. And during this time, that's so important to have that connection. And as much as I'd love to be with her today, I know that I have the connection because she's instilled those morals and values in me and my family. And I wish her nothing but love and happiness on her 91st birthday.
All right. So, Muriel McManus, happy 91st birthday. It is your 91st year in the universe. And I want to say, and all of us at Life is a Sacred Journey, happy birthday and many, many more. All right. Caller, stay on the line if you want to. You are more than welcome to, but happy birthday. So, I have so many friends in this world. I am blessed beyond measure. And Sunny Aujla, oh Lord, I just pronounced your name wrong, Sunny. Pronounce your last name for me, Sunny.
It's Aujla.
Aujla. So Sunny Aujla is a dear friend, and he's a real estate investor and developer. And since 2011, he has been immersing all of his time in real estate offers. He started in residential, he moved into rehab properties, and he's transitioned into now new construction. Currently, Sunny is working on several custom home projects in the Bay Area, and one of which is in Hayward Hills development of 6 of single-family homes. Sunny and I have been engaging in so much conversation around what's the future for our seniors? What's the future for our veterans? What's the future? And I thought during COVID-19, when housing was such an issue to find housing and to places for veterans and seniors to shelter in place, we were having a real difficult time finding that. And, you know, the mayor of San Francisco and folks throughout the state of California went to hotels, and rooms were given so people could shelter in place. But Sunny and I have been having a discussion about what would it look like if we really looked at what our population needed, what our veterans needed, what our seniors needed. I know for me, I'm looking at tiny housing. I'm thinking about building a tiny house so I can get on the road when I retire. And so all of those kinds of things. And so I asked Sunny to join us this morning for our conversation around how did COVID-19 affect your industry, but then for him to go into what's the future look like for our seniors and our veterans, and what are some of the things that he's looking at. And I have my brother Gary Jones on the line. Good morning, Gary. Gary is a veteran, and I want to thank you, Gary, for everything that you did and Desert Storm to keep us all safe here. And this conversation is about not just you, but the thousands of veterans that live throughout our state of California. So, Sunny, welcome to Life is a Sacred Journey. Will you kind of share, a little bit about how the shelter in place affected your industry in one way, and then now that things are loosening up, is that making things better for you as you continue to build your homes and think about construction for the future?
Hi, Michelle. Yes, thank you for having me, first of all. Yes, COVID-19 has it's affected everybody for the most part, not just, my industry, but every industry. We've been affected in many ways. For me personally, I carry the cost of construction loans to equipment rentals, to making sure my guys are good as far as making a wage. So it has effects of it. And obviously in construction, time is valued. So,
Right.
Losing a month and a half plus obviously hurts us. But, for me, it wasn't so much about myself. It was for, on any given project, I have usually anywhere between 15 to 20 guys. And those guys, they need that weekly paycheck to make rent, to eat,
Yeah.
to feed their families. So my concern was more about them. We've been only off, like I said, a month and a half, and we're back on, and kind of going back to normal. Things have changed a little bit. My guys all are wearing masks.
Okay.
Lunchtime comes, they've all got to be separated. They can't eat together. We've got hand washing stations. I've got hand sanitizers on site. So just different things that the Alameda County Health has kind of asked us to do, or basically demanded us to do. So we've taken on those measures.
So when you're thinking, like me, we're dreamers. Sunny and I are dreamers, and we were talking before the podcast began that this whole idea of sheltering in place is dangerous for us, Sunny, because we're dreaming, right? We're dreaming about the future. But I know you and I both have a heart for veterans and for seniors, and I would like to know kind of what you're thinking around, new starts, housing, and will COVID-19 change the way you look at building buildings in the future? So that's a lot of questions in one big question.
Well, I go into, the whole, you've heard the phrase tiny homes. I think micro units will be the way of the future going forward. The reason why is make it affordable. That's number one. Yeah. And it still gives people a space to live. And you can have those in certain areas where rents are skyrocket and still keep the rents low. My goal personally is to do something of that stature and make sure I can privately fund it. Okay. That's my goal. Is to privately fund, whereas you're not getting the tax credit to however. Instead, you're basing it off of a formula that takes the low income housing where it's affordable for everybody.
And when you say, one of the I love this idea, Sunny, because when I grew up back east, we had these things, and I don't know, I'm not originally from the West Coast, but I think they have them here too. I just never seen one. Or maybe I have, I don't know. But projects, we called them projects. And they were considered low-income housing prior to Section 8 and all of that kind of thing. And they look like prisons, tall prisons, and people did not thrive in those environments. So when you're talking about building community, what's your mindset around that? Building a community where people can thrive is not just a building; it's also how you bring that building together, right?
Absolutely. So it's this energy that you bring to a project. It's the way it's designed, the way it's built, the amenities that it has. If you don't give it any amenities, it's going to have a depressed feel. If you load it up with amenities, and everybody is kind of got what they need at home, they're not going to feel depressed, and they're not going to feel like they're brought down. So that all will go in the design concept of everything. When you think of projects, it was like projects were the west side of a certain city. And you don't want to just do that. You don't want to just say, all right, we're going to put everybody on the west side. You want to spread this out where everybody correlates together and assimilates together and becomes one. Kind of goes back to what you were talking about earlier in your intro.
And and people thrive that way. My vision when you and I first met, and it was, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be cool? And I know there are Eden Housing and there's other developers that do this in the Bay Area where it's mixed income housing. So you have people who can pay market rate. You have people who are moderate to low income, and then you have people that are low income. So you have this sort of, we put everybody together, right? We put everybody together, and I think that would be just an incredible way to bring families together, as well as people learn from each other. If you put me in an environment that is oppressed without the amenities. I love that you say that, because amenities is what make things look pretty and make you want to take care of it. But if you live in a place with a concrete brick wall and you can see the bricks inside of your apartment, I mean, what kind of joy does that bring? And why would you want to take care of that?
None whatsoever. I mean, it also basically just tells you where you are, you're going to stay. And the goal is to see everybody grow. And whether it's spiritual, whether it's, financially, whether it's, their family life, to, anything you do in life, you want to grow. And,
right.
And by putting people in a so-called, project, and putting everybody in one, it's like having everybody in one office and having their each little cubicles as their apartment. It's kind of a depressing feeling where you want everybody to interact, whether they're rich, poor, black, white. It shouldn't matter.
Right. And so we have a viewer who says that veterans would be able to contribute more to the businesses as well if they had the ability to live in environments that they could afford, and they could contribute to our society in a much different way. And so one of our viewers passed that bit of information on. How does that resonate with you, Sunny?
Well, for example, one of the things we've discussed before is micro units, building up micro units. Having common space, having common kitchen areas in different floors to however, but having the veterans actually giving them jobs. For example, you need management. You need landscapers. You need maintenance.
Oh yeah.
Things on site. So not only are they living there, but we're also providing and creating more jobs as well at the same time.
I love that. There's a model, I think Carla's aware of it, in Canada, where they did this. They built housing for people who needed housing, as well as provided social services in the building, provided opportunity for jobs in the building, and they created this incredible community. They didn't kick people out the minute they got a job. They were able, I believe it's 5 years, Carla, if you're still there. I think it's 5 years that they were able to stay in that environment. And then once they were in a situation of sustainability, they moved out, and then they helped. They had to, a part of the project was, or the pilot is, they had to do something for the people that were coming up behind them. So again, creating this mechanism of humanity. I'll help you, you help someone else, they help someone else, and this whole little borough, I'm going to call it a borough, everybody became sheltered, everybody became employed. I think it was after the first 5-year period, and everybody succeeded. So that's what you're talking about, Sunny. You're talking about creating housing where everybody can succeed, whether they're veterans, whether they're seniors, whether they're people like me, single women like myself, who have income, but I also don't have an exorbitant amount of income that I'm going to be paying a whole lot of money out just for a mortgage or rent. So one of the questions before we go away, because we only have, a half hour goes by so fast. But Sunny, when you look at property like the Naval Weapons Station in Concord, this huge mass of property, are you engaged in conversations around what forms of development might happen in a place like that?
Right now, at the moment, no, but we do see it. I do go ahead and kind of watch every project that kind of goes through the steps of entitlement, just to kind of get an idea of what we can't do in the future. But any kind of bare land is worth a conversation, is the way I look at it.
Okay.
Always best to talk to the city, talk to the planning department, get a feel for what their idea and their vision is on what they want there.
So we have had Sunny with us this morning, really helping us to dissect the industry of construction and investing and developing. It's been great to have your insight on things like building for seniors and veterans. We've talked a little bit about also what we traditionally have called Section 8, low-income housing, and the need to change that sort of trajectory of just building buildings to put people in, but making them aesthetically beautiful so that people feel a sense of home and a sense of engagement with their home. Sunny, in our last couple of minutes, is there anything you would like our listeners to know about your work in the community? How can they contact you if there's somebody who wants to invest in some huge property with you or engage in a project with you? How can they find you?
Well, you can find me on social media. I'm on Facebook.
Okay.
You can probably look me up on Google. I also coach varsity basketball at Hayward High School.
Oh.
So, my information is very easily obtained as far as contact information is concerned. So, they can reach out to yourself and get my contact information.
Okay. So if there's somebody out there that wants to do something for the greater good as it relates to housing for our veterans, for our seniors, for our folks that are less fortunate than us, please get in contact with me. Sunny and I will be getting together sometime after shelter in place, or maybe even via Zoom. So Sunny, thank you for taking time out of your day. I know you're on site working right now. Thank you for everything that you have done in the community. Sunny is a social justice man, as well, has contributed a great deal of support and labor to Alzheimer's Services of the East Bay. So his act of kindness is that he exists in the world, and he knows that only by giving are we blessed and do we feel a sense of connection with each other. So thank you, Sunny. Have a great day.
You're welcome, Michelle. Thank you for having me.
And stay safe. Stay healthy.
Do the same.
All right. Thank you. So as we end Life is a Sacred Journey, I did wear my Wonder Woman t-shirt today. I'm wearing this because this is my tribute to all the women out there who have cared for, loved, and appreciated the ability to be maternal. I wear it in honor of Carla's grandmother because she was a Wonder Woman in Carla's life. And I wear it in for all the men out there who have supported their Wonder Women and made it possible for them to be the best they can be. I also wear it for the men who have had to be mother and father to their children. We are in this together, people. We are a humanity that was created by something bigger than us. And we need to get it right. We need to get it right. And I also want to say to Ahmaud Arbery's family, how sorry we are that you have lost your son. And on this Mother's Day, please lift up his mother as she has to go through this Sunday without her son. So peace be with you. Thank you for being a viewer, a listener, an exchanger. Keep it going. Please share, subscribe, follow, come back, and have a great and wonderful day. And do something for somebody. Do something for somebody. Be well, and God bless.